All right, good morning. It is Thursday, January 29. I am exhausted. Barely got any sleep last night, and I woke up very, very early this morning. So normally, when I travel or go anywhere in the city, in New York City, I'm actually going to pull over here for a second. I either walk or I take the subway because the subway is only $3 and walking is free. But I'm heading into New Jersey. I'll explain a little bit more about that later. And I took a cab. So from my apartment over in the East Village to Port Authority here in Midtown, West Side, 40s, it was $30 plus a tip. So just something to keep in mind if you're traveling. So come with me into Port Authority as I grab a bus. That's going to take me to a bus station. And then from there, I'm going to take a Lyft car share thing because they don't have cabs. And by the way, in New York City, there are plenty of yellow cabs. I'm actually using an app called Curb, C-U-R-B. And I scheduled my pickup last night for 7:30 this morning, so I didn't have to stand outside and hail one. So take advantage of your local New York City taxi cab drivers and give them some business. Forgot to introduce myself in that previous clip. I am Dina D'Alessandro, Dina the Dietitian, Dish with Dina, and I am doing a daily vlog this whole week, so you can check out a day in the life of, a week in the life of a non-traditional, unconventional registered dietitian. So this is again Thursday, January 29. I am now in a different state. As you can see behind me, I am working and I'll be living out of my mom's house for the next couple of weeks. I have shared about her before, and she has given me permission to do so, that she is currently at end-stage renal disease. So she's got what's known as stage 5 chronic kidney disease. And I mean, she's still around and she's still, independent, but she definitely needs a little bit more assistance than she has had in previous years. So we admitted her into hospice care a few months ago, and she has a wonderful home team. They come to see her about once a week, once every other week. And then I come in to help with all the other stuff because my mom doesn't like strangers in her house. So, and she doesn't want to go to assisted living. So if anybody out there is like me, part of the sandwich generation, I don't have kids, but I do have an older parent, so I guess I'm an open-faced sandwich in that case. So I'll be hanging out here for the foreseeable future. I'm very grateful that a lot of what I do is remote, and on the times that I have to be back on site in New York City, I have a car at my ready, and I can just easily take it up there and back because we are about 2 hours, I guess, south of Manhattan. Today, I'm going to be doing 4 private practice patients working through my telehealth platform, which I was sharing the other day. And then I have to draft up a bunch of written content. So I like doing weekly blog posts on my professional website. And then I also do these free monthly wellness webinars for my own purposes as Dish with Dina brand. And then I also do the same topic immediately after on the same day for the Department of Aging in New York City under the Presbyterian Senior Services. So I work with the adult population there. So this whole week I've had, little baby kids, and then I'll be working with seniors both in my personal life and towards when I'm doing my webinar in a couple of weeks. So I'm gonna wrap up right now. I have to jump on this call. I'll come back later and I'll explain a little bit about some of the issues and items that I've been talking about with my patients so far. While I am in between my patient sessions, I'm going to jump on to my computer and try to tackle a bunch of content I am hoping to create. So I'm going to walk you through a few things. So this is my website, and one of the things I tell people anybody who is looking to get their own business together, you don't necessarily have to pick or adhere to a particular social media platform, but do have a front-facing website page that tells people who you are and where you're at and how to find you. What I did was I spent some money. I paid somebody who was the web designer here, and she created kind of like the aesthetic that I really like, because I enjoy these brightly colored, vibrant colors and these kind of like graphic designs. I love food, so I wanted to make sure, obviously, since I'm a dietitian, that food was present on here too. And I also work with not just patient populations, but I also do some business coaching and mentorships with dietetic interns, nutrition students, and newly credentialed registered dietitians who are trying to get up and running. So that's something that a lot of us do in this profession. When we're trying to start out on our own, we learn a ton of things, and we make mistakes, and then we get better, and then everybody wants to know how we did it. So sometimes I monetize that, and sometimes I give it away for free. The About section helps people understand who I'm working with, because we have to focus in this day and age with what is known as search engine optimization. It helps for us to define what's known as a niche or an avatar. So we're speaking to somebody specifically. So in my case, I work with women aged 20 to 60 years old. But as you've seen in the past few days of me recording this stuff, I really meet with everybody. I have 3-year-olds, I have 16-year-olds, I have 22-year-olds, I have 60-something-year-olds, I have men and women. I have a whole spectrum of people from different cultures, different genders, different anything you can think of. I've worked with them all, and I actually really like that. A lot of people will say that it's important to just focus on a specialty, but I don't like committing. I originally, way back in the day when I was working with some interns and I had first started out as a dietitian, I started putting together these online courses that I wanted to share, just so that people had a landing page that they can go to if they were curious about something they were recently diagnosed with. This turned out to be a lot of work, and it's not something I'm necessarily giving up, but it's definitely on the back burner for now. So coming soon, indefinitely. And then my blog, which I love. I've always loved writing. My original degree was a Bachelor of Arts in Communication, and I've always loved media. Thanks to Canva.com, I have all these great thumbnails and really interesting designs and images and graphics that I can include on here. Sometimes I reiterate some of the webinars that I do, and I transpose the content from the webinar I repurpose it into a blog post. Why not, right? Content is content. Sometimes I use pictures of myself, especially when it's New Year, and I just like to kind of kick that off. And this goes back, oh gosh, I think all the way to 2003 or 2008 when I had just a blog. I was writing a food blog, recipe stuff and restaurant things, and I really loved all of that. And now it's, transferred over into my business landing page, and I write about a different topic every week. So again, even here, I'm not sticking to just kids nutrition. Like, I really try to jazz up as much as possible, because I think it's useful for people to know where they can go. And there's quite a library of information that I have on here. And then last but not least, we put the podcast to bed last year. So I had 12 seasons. This was a pandemic podcast, if you have been following me for that long. My pandemic podcast that I started when all businesses shut down and I did not know what to do with myself. And I just started interviewing people on the internet, like complete strangers, absolutely complete strangers. And I absolutely loved it. So one of the other things I wanted to show was my YouTube channel, because now I've migrated away from all other social media platforms. I'm no longer being consistent on Instagram or Facebook at all. And even things like Substack and some of these other newer social media platforms that popped up recently that are a little bit more long form, it's just too many moving parts again, too much to juggle. I just can't keep up with it all. But I do know what I like. I do know that I like writing. I do know that I like educating people. I do like putting together my webinars. So what I do is, as the podcast episodes were published, they would go into the audio version, and then they'd also go into the video version. So these here with other people's headshots in them, those are all my podcast episodes. And then my wellness webinars, so this is probably close to 3, maybe even 4 years now. Every single month we do a different topic. You know what? I do say we, because sometimes I have nutrition students and dietetic interns who help me out and or even help me co-facilitate these webinars. And so you can see, right, I've amassed quite the collection. And then thanks to YouTube getting a bit savvy, because YouTube is the second largest search engine. So it's good to have this as a place to go to for information. How meta is this? All the things that you've been watching me do the last couple of days. They also now converted or included new features that mimic some of the other social media platforms. So there's a shorts version here that would be kind of like a TikTok or a reel. Obviously, we have my podcast section where the whole playlist lives there. And then we have posts, and posts is where I put like a snippet of my blog posts on here. And sometimes I also, let's scroll down for a sec. Sometimes I also, because it's link accessible, I'll also put the registration links for any of the wellness webinars that I have coming up, like you can see here. So I am still making sure I am somewhat consistent and relevant on the internet space, but I am no longer going crazy and doing things across all the platforms because it's just too much. But I'll show you something else. Because your girl is crazy organized, when I was on the social media stuff, I felt like I needed to have a schedule of some sort. And again, I repurposed a ton of things. So right here, every year, my interns and I would create a social media calendar. So we have from left to right, all of the tabs, the months of the year. And then we have some like monthly, specific monthly wellness awareness themes. We also have topic specific stuff like being an adjunct or an entrepreneur. And then here we have, so that was like the calendar at a glance. And then here we had by month, very specific things like, again, awareness topics and or general things that we would repurpose as well. So something like a special promotion, or we're doing like seasonal produce, every season, every few months, we would do stuff like that. So it wasn't necessarily a condition, a chronic condition or something like eating disorders, or I could do like a personal story. And all this came because I was purchasing How to Build Your Business and How to Grow Your Social Media Platform. And I was doing all the things and I really wasn't seeing a lot of what they call conversions, meaning nobody was tapping into me and hiring me to be their dietitian. So I just kept with my private practice. And now I live by the philosophy of I am only responsible for my labor and not the fruits of my labor, meaning I'm either doing it or I'm not doing it. And whatever I'm doing, I'm going to put a lot of intention and I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, but it's okay if nobody sees it because this is now my legacy. This is where my stuff lives, and I want to be an educator and I want to be a good communicator and I want to be an expert in what I do. And so I'm happy just to continue sharing, even if sharing isn't to a really wide audience or tens of thousands of followers. It's just a place where all of my stuff lives, and that makes me feel very, very special and very proud of myself, because I'm not sure if I said this in one of the other videos, but I'm a second career. My first foray into the professional world was after my Bachelor of Arts in Communication back in the early 1800s. And I did a great job doing all those things. I was in project management, but it just wasn't for me. And so I decided to switch gears in 2012, 2013 and go back to school, and completely went in the other direction and ended up with a Master of Science in Nutrition after pretty much 8 grueling years of my life. No, I lied, maybe 5 years, 6 years of my life. But because of that, I've had wonderful opportunities. I've been able to do all of the things that I'm sharing with you now. And I'm really proud of my journey and how far I have come. And I've also said this before, it speaks to my fearlessness that I'm not afraid to take chances. I'm not afraid to do things. I am not afraid to jump ship if I feel like I need a different opportunity or something's no longer serving me. I'm okay with that. And so I was going to spend a little bit more time going through my day and some of my patient counseling stuff. I might say that for tomorrow, because just like yesterday, I am a bit fried. And you saw how early I got up this morning. I was looking all kinds of tore up, and now I'm just going to wind down and prep for tomorrow. And the coming days are a little bit less heavy on my schedule, so I'll be able to tackle some of these things like writing my blogs, etc. And I'll keep you posted with all the other stuff as we wrap up a week in the life being Dish with Dina tomorrow on Friday. But today is Thursday. I wish you a wonderful night, and thanks again for watching.